welcome to another action-packed, exciting hour of the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Re-Watch-Along Project. This is podcasting the way it used to be and the way you like it. This show is a production of the Something Else Podcasting Network, and it is episode number 156 of Smoky Mountain Wrestling from January 21st, 1995, taped January 2nd, 1995, from the Sevier County High School in Sevierville, Tennessee. My name is Arya. And joining me, as always, is the Dr. Isaac Yankum DDS to my Christmas creature. It's Stevie J. Stevie, how the hell are you doing today?
I'm doing great, but I feel like that's a spoiler for what's to come later in this episode. That is, if people haven't already watched it themselves.
So Alyssa and I had this debate on the Tuesday show, and for those who haven't listened yet, what the hell's wrong with you? But where she was like, it's a 41-year-old show. What spoiler are you giving? I'm like, it's a spoiler, you know? We didn't watch it yet, so it's a spoiler. If you've never seen it, it's new to you.
Yeah, exactly. Although I do feel like that term has a time limit. I mean, if the results have been on the internet for several decades, it's not. But like you said, it just depends on whether you've seen it or not. But I I don't think you can spoil Raiders of the Lost Ark at this point. If you haven't seen it, you know what? So what? It's everybody's gonna know that Indiana Jones does what Indiana Jones does.
Say what? Next, you're going to tell me that in the first Indiana Jones movie, um, everything would have happened the way it did, even if Indiana Jones wasn't involved in the movie at all.
You know, I have actually seen that debate before on YouTube. I think you must be referencing a video I watched.
I first saw that theory on the Big Bang Theory, and it's actually true. Like if Indiana Jones wasn't there, the bad guys still would have gotten the thing. They still would have gone to what's its place, and their faces still would have melted off.
Right, they still would have opened the Ark and paid the foolish price for doing so. So
Yeah,
you're not wrong, but Indiana Jones being there makes it a lot more fun.
exactly. It would not be a movie without Indiana Jones.
Mhm.
Uh, I gotta say, it's weird having three co-hosts on my three shows for the week. I mean, I guess if you include Impact, I got four shows, but somehow we don't really count Impact as a separate show, even though it is. But, after so long of having no co-hosts and then two co-hosts, now having three is just, it's throwing me off, brother.
There was a time when the site was still called Angry Marks where there was somebody I was doing a podcast with, a different co-host almost every single day of the week. Killicap one day, Nikes the Sneaker Pimp another day, Jason, aka the Great Sudoku, another day, Nikolai another day. You know, it. I understand because we were recording a shit ton of podcasts back then, and I seem to end up on most of them.
I don't know what's wrong. Like, I think my name is almost too normal to be hosting all these podcasts.
Oh, I
You're
mean,
just you're just giving me all the list of all your co-hosts back in the day, and I'm just plain Aria.
I, frankly, I've never considered you just playing Arya because every time I say your name, I think of sci-fi and fantasy. I think of dragons and medieval knights and things. So, you know, Arya is a very epic name.
Aria. All right. So this is I guess technically the end of the third year of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. 52 episodes times 3 years is 156. And we're we're kind of like in the weird middle of it because the first episode was February 1st of 1992. And so next week, episode 157 is January 28th, but the week after is February 4th or February 3rd. It's almost like it doesn't, it's, there's too big of a gap from February 1st in both directions to say one is properly the anniversary show.
Right. And
Yeah.
sadly, they won't make it to a fourth year anniversary. We already know that.
Yeah.
There's another
Yeah.
spoiler for everyone.
Spoiler, you know how at the end of the show I say so many episodes down, so many to go? That's an indication of how many episodes are left of this series. Um,
Yeah, the clock
it,
is
it's so
ticking.
it's so funny that by sheer dumb coincidence they did an even number of episodes, 200.
Well, there used to be the
Um,
rule for syndication. Like if you made it to 100 episodes, then you were golden because you could be forever distributed on different cable and terrestrial stations. You could sell that library to people for a fee.
yeah. And who knows? Because like Jim has mentioned that he started this company when he thought wrestling could get no lower back in late 91, early 92, because it was really on a nosedive back then, figuring it couldn't go any lower, and then it went a lot lower. And then the funny thing is, if he had been able to even make it another year, 96 is when the NWO takes off. 97 is when Austin is starting to light on fire. If he could have made it a little bit longer, it's possible the trickle down of effect could have really helped him out.
Yeah, it's almost that he was too ahead of his time and too I, how do I put this? Like he had the right idea, but he didn't have the right time and place to do it.
The funny thing is we'll get to throughout 95. There's actually a weird correlation between the Smoky Mountain 1995 roster and the ECW 2000 roster that we're about to get to on the Thursday night show. In that all of the name guys are pretty much gone. So you're bringing in like some of the most random ass people that you had no idea ever worked for this company. And it's the same in Smoky Mountain and ECW, you know? And
There's
it's always easy to say, well, if Smoky Mountain lasts another year with their relationship with the WWF, they could have had Steve Austin, Rocky Maivia, and all these guys that came into the WWF, come down for shows. And it's easy for Paul Heyman to now say, well, if we last another year, we would have had CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Samoa Joe, et cetera, et cetera. It's like it's nice to wish, you know.
Yeah, there's some fantasy booking involved in those concepts. Like you can say those things, but would that have actually panned out? Like I'm trying to picture CM Punk showing up at the 2300 ECW Arena in Philadelphia. 50-50 maybe. I'm not so sure about that one. But trying to picture The Rock showing up at a random high school in Kentucky, about zero chance of that happening. I don't see that one at
I,
all.
I mean, The Rock, no way. But like, Flex Kavana, he was in the USWA, he was doing all those Memphis cities and towns. So, I mean,
Yeah,
like I said,
yeah.
I doubt The Rock would show up in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, but Rocky Maivia, third generation superstar, might.
You're right. I'm not really picturing him as he was back then. So fair point, well made.
All right. Well, instead of talking about what didn't happen, let's talk about what did, and that's Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And I did know, and I know you really don't know this because you weren't here from the beginning, but that intro they do every week, it's been the same since episode one, and it's going to change soon, sadly enough. But every person in that intro is out of the territory now. Like the last one left was Primetime Brian Lee, and he just left last month.
I hope they don't change
Um,
that iconic music too. Like, fine if
oh,
if all the
they do.
oh dang it! So that's part of the
Yeah.
reason I love this podcast is because I get to hear that Smoky Mountain theme every single week.
I mean, I may still play it at the beginning because it's, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, it's better than what they bring in. Um, and I forget if that comes in before or after JR leaves, but they're like 1, 2 back to back.
Dang.
Um, turns out JR is off to bigger and better things. But
Well, he's
speak,
off to being fired by Vince McMahon like 5 different times for 8 different reasons.
Well, he's already been fired twice.
That's
Um,
what I mean. It's like he's just going to
yeah.
go right back to the place that it's like going back to your abuser when you're in a bad relationship. It's like I can make him better. No, you can't.
Yeah, but I mean, also, like, he's coming in once a month to do these tapings. I mean, I'm not doing the books, but I imagine he's getting like $100 a shot, maybe $200 a shot or something. It's in between that and coming in to eventually be the executive vice president of talent relations, of WWF.
It is definitely a title and a pay upgrade that he couldn't possibly turn down. But
Yeah.
at the same time,
Yeah.
knowing what he knows about Vince McMahon, I would have had hesitation in his shoes.
See, I don't know. If I was in his shoes, I don't know what I'd do because WCW was plainly not interested in him, at this point. They were very happy with the announcers they had. And so without Vince going to WWF, his career basically would have ended. And I mean, yeah, he would have come in once a month to do Smoky Mountain until that went out of business. But like ECW would not have brought in Jim Ross. Jim Ross, no matter how great Jim Ross could have been, he would not have been a fit in ECW. And in reality, that's the only other, you know, territory promotion that's running at this point consistently. I guess Memphis, but I don't even know who was announcing Memphis at this point, but I doubt they would have brought in JR either.
I mean, these are all valid points. I just, I feel sympathy for
Yeah.
Jim Ross, and not just because of the ongoing issues he's having with brain surgery and the recent other health problems, but just knowing that every time Jim and Vince have crossed paths, Vince has gone out of his way to humiliate him for one reason or another.
Vince gets off on it. That's all
Yeah,
we can
and
say.
and I'm not a fan of that. That's all I can say.
Well, let's go to the intro this week's show with JR. Let's.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Smoky Mountain Wrestling. I'm Jim Ross, along with Les Thatcher. We'll describe the action, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a great program. Nature Boy Buddy Landell is here. He'll defend the television championship for the third time. And a match I can't wait to see one-on-one. It's going to be Boo Bradley and Chris Candido, but Les, that's not all.
No, it's not. As if you remember last week, the gangsters weren't a bit happy with Commissioner Bob Armstrong's ruling. New Jack has challenged the commissioner's son, Steve Armstrong. That's here today. Plus, the Rock and Roll Express in tag team action against Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert and a partner yet to be named. Jim, I'm going to try to get back to the locker room later and talk to Eddie, see if we can find out who his partner is going to be.
Folks, we'll tell you more about this program as the hour progresses, but right now let's go up to the ring in our first contest.
So, I didn't watch this show until today. You watched it yesterday, and you had messaged me there was an angle-heavy episode of Smoky Mountain. And when I got that, I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be like one of those shows with 2 matches on it. But they announced 4 matches, and 3 of them actually happened.
Yeah, but between times
I,
and even during the matches, they went out of their way to promote Super Saturday Night. So they the matches themselves were almost an afterthought to what they were building for, which is a very old school way of doing things, as a matter of fact. Like, you're not really putting this stuff on television for the sake of ratings. You're putting it on because you want people to show up and buy tickets to a live event. It's almost a throwback, but I mean, it is, but it isn't, because how do I put it? Like, it was already a changing attitude in the 90s, so they were doing things differently than WCW and WWF were. But also, those two promotions still had to sell tickets to their shows too, so it wasn't quite dead yet.
now, to be fair, this is still during the time when it's like not that companies didn't give a shit about ratings at all, but it really wasn't until the Monday Night War that people actually gave a shit about what the ratings were.
Right.
Like,
That's when the whole thing flipped upside down and they started to care more about buy rates and ratings than whether or not they could actually sell tickets to events.
yeah. Like I remember, I forget which DVD it was. Like they all kind of blur together, but Shawn Michaels on one of the DVDs basically said that it's like no one really cared what the ratings were until Nitro began, and That and then suddenly it was week after week, neck and neck, a big deal. And yeah, and that's coming up this year to give you some context. Before this show goes off the air, we will have a Nitro.
So, has it ever occurred to you the way it's occurred to me that Eric Bischoff had one great run in his entire life, and he's just myopically obsessed with that fact? I mean, he named his podcast 83 Weeks. It's like, dude, that was 3 decades ago. Can you get over it? Have you accomplished anything other than beating Raw in the ratings for 83 weeks? Do you really have to name your podcast that? I'm sure you've done lots of other things in your life besides that.
I I give him more of a nod than I give Russo. Because like what has Russo done other than, be the head writer of Raw when it was at its hottest?
Mhm.
Or not even really when it was at its hottest. He was the head writer of Raw when it got hot. Which, hey, he deserves whatever credit he deserves for that. But it's like, in my opinion, he's been more of a failure after that than Bischoff ever was.
I mean, to be fair, he had Bischoff Hervey Entertainment and produced a whole lot of very successful shows. But again, that just goes to my point of why are you calling your podcast 83 weeks when you've got
Well,
so many other things? I mean, you could just call it the Eric Bischoff Hour with Conrad or whatever. I don't know. Just like it just seems to me like that's a horse you don't need to keep riding. That horse is already dead and buried.
I agree, but at the same time, it's catchier than the Eric Bischoff show. Like, I don't know. It's like the Eric Bischoff show sounds kind of boring. Like 83 weeks, it's like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like if I listen to 83 weeks, watch 83 weeks, whatever, I know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get him talking about wrestling. I'm not watching it anyway or listening to it anyway, but I know what I'm going to get. The Eric Bischoff show, I'd be like, well, I'm going to tune in 1 week and he's going to talk about Scott Baio for an hour, you know?
Hmm. I don't know why, but
But
the moment you said the Eric Bischoff show, something popped into my head, and I was like, "My name is Bischoff Show, and I am proud to be." But you probably never watched the Cleveland show.
I watched a couple episodes of the Cleveland show. Wasn't my thing, but I watched a couple episodes.
Hmm.
Um, by the way, today, and uh, based on my Facebook memories, today is the anniversary of Spike TV announcing they were canceling Impact in 2014. So it made me wonder, and I tweeted that I'm expecting a response, but do you think Mike Johnson still has that email
It would be
that Russo?
hilarious if he does.
I'm like, I think that's like the ultimate, thing to get. Like, when WWE did that Lost Treasure show, I know like this isn't like a physical object unless you printed it out. But it's like to me, man, I'd like to see that email. And I know all it is announcer notes to Mike Tenay and Taz, but still, like, it would be fun to see it.
Yeah, it would be an interesting read for the historical value and the shit that hit the fan because of it.
Yep. Beat the Champ TV champion Buddy Landell versus Tommy Pittner. New jobber alert. And it's important to note that Tommy Pittner is no Arya Whitner. And Buddy won with the corkscrew elbow and the figure four. The champ has jumped shark.
Yeah, this was. You say we got 3 of the 4 matches that were announced, but to call this a match is almost laughable. He was less of a challenger than the challenger the week before. Like I actually felt like this was just a case of send a warm body out. Landell will put the figure 4 on him. That's all this was.
Now, I get the original point of the Beat the Champ. It was kind of like a way to dress up the TV show a little bit. It was a way to dress up like star versus jobber matches. But the fact is, and we've talked about this, every Beat the Champ run is exactly the same. If you're going to go 5 weeks, and I'm kind of assuming Buddy is at this point, but if you're going to go 5 weeks, you're going to take on 3 jobbers, followed by a medium name, like the second half of a tag team kind of a name. And then then if you're going to win, it's iffy. You may face another jobber, or you may actually face a name. But if you're going to lose, you're going to face a name as your last guy who's going to beat you. And
Yeah, they're basically
and
telegraphing the result before it even takes place.
yeah, and it's like once a year or so they do where the jobber gets the big win. That's how Bobby Blaze debuted on TV. He beat Dirty White Boy for the TV title, and but it's like other than that, these results, 80% of them are predictable.
Mhm. Oh, you mean wrestling isn't like booked ahead of time and then everybody knows what they're doing when they go out to the ring? Color me shocked.
And I'll be honest, I know it was still the same issue, but when Dutch was here, at least we had the hat where they would pull a name out of a hat. Ever since Dutch left, they just did, oh, and the champion will defend this week against Bill Jones. I'm like, well, that's not the same. I don't want to be told Bill Jones is the opponent. I wanted to see it pulled out of the hat.
Yeah, at least give us some suspension of disbelief that some random jobber whose name is in the hat could actually come out and pull off a fluke.
Actually, the best was the time that Dutch had the hat and Candido ran up and it was like, hey, here's that $200 I owe you that I borrowed that time. He's like, oh, yeah, of course. Thank you, Chris. Pulls up the name. Oh, wouldn't you know who won the pony? Chris Candido is the name this week.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I would want to see. Like people being conniving and low down and dirty, just trying to get their name pulled out of a hat, literally.
Yes. All right, so Buddy wins, and let's now go to JR with Buddy, and they've got somehow more news about next Saturday's Super Saturday Night Fever.
Well, another quick, impressive victory there, Nature Boy, and Les and I were wondering, where's Mr. Harmon this week?
Well, you know something? It's a crying shame and awful pitiful the way I sat back in the dressing room and see these guys try to conjure up championship matches. Do you think Arnold Schwarzenegger goes out and calls people to promote him? No, he's got people working for him just like myself. Where's my agent at?
What's he done for you lately?
What's he done for me lately? I'll tell you something. He went out and he got me some license to be an official timekeeper for the Jerry Lawler Dirty White Boy match, January the 28th. That's right.
You're going to be sitting at ringside for that? Now, how do you do that? You don't even have a watch.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to be sitting out there making sure that goof rings the bell, making sure the ring is swept, making sure the referee does his job, making sure that the timekeeper does his job. Let me tell you something. I'm going to be all over you, Dirty White Boy. I'm your worst nightmare, brother. I'm your Paul's thorn in the flesh.
All right, ladies, and this is a bad deal. I see what it says, but what?
Am I or am I not the official timekeeper for that match?
You are, and I don't like it. I'm sure Dirty White Boy doesn't either. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back after you hear this.
I don't think Buddy knows what a timekeeper does.
No, apparently a timekeeper has way more responsibilities than I was ever led to believe. I thought they just sat there at a table and rang the bell and looked at a watch.
And hey, I don't know how many indie shows you've been to, but typically the ring announcer is also the timekeeper.
Exactly. So this is a significantly upgraded position. This is like being the referee with an earpiece in your ear calling things in the ring. That's how much upgraded this position has become.
I gotta say though, it's like this really feels it really starting to feel really overbooked. Because not only are we getting 2 Buddy Landell matches, we're getting 2 Dirty White Boy matches. And we're also doing Buddy Landell now as the timekeeper in the Dirty White Boy Jerry Lawler match. I feel like this is getting to hat on a hat territory that JC likes to accuse other people of doing.
I did enjoy how Dirty White Boy made it make more sense when he got his promo time. So until then, I'm going to agree with you, but what he comes to say later makes it more plausible that Buddy Landell would be there.
And Indeed. Now, I do want to know one other thing I noticed. Did you notice Buddy put the check in his tights?
I missed that detail. I didn't have that in my
Okay.
notes.
Okay. So, on an early episode of Smoky Mountain, actually, it's funny because next week they're doing a Smoky Mountain Rumble on this show. And so the last time we had a Smoky Mountain Rumble, it was like the 10th or 11th episode way back in May of 1992. It came down to Buddy and Horner, and Buddy is covered in sweat. And Horner throws him out, but they did the 97 Royal Rumble finish 5 years before the 97 Royal Rumble, where Buddy hits the floor, but the referees didn't see it. So he rolls in, throws out Horner, and wins the match. And he takes the check and puts it down the front of his tights. Now, the reason why that's important is because they then announced, oh, next week on the show, which was taped 5 minutes later, we're going to do Buddy Landell versus Tim Horner, and the winner gets the check. So next week comes, they have their match, Horner wins, and then after the match, Buddy beats down Horner and takes the check and shoves it in his mouth.
I wouldn't want anything like that in my mouth after it had been down somebody's trunks. No, thank you.
Well, that's what I thought when I saw Buddy putting Buddy with the check in his tights.
I can understand why that popped you. I wish I had seen the original incident. Then it would have been even funnier to me if I had noticed.
Well, the funny thing is, it's not like they said it on TV. Oh, that check was in his tights. Like it was something you had to notice. Like this is what he did, and yada yada yada. So
yes,
I imagine
yes.
Horner was already pissing people off 10 weeks into the Smoky Mountain days.
I
I don't think
shock
anyone would be
me.
shocked to know. Yeah. All right, so we get a replay of the Lawler Dirty White Boy match at the NWA title tournament that we've seen before, although Stevie hasn't seen it before. But then a different Jerry Lawler in Memphis video than the one we saw last week. Any thoughts on this? This was the first time you saw the Lawler White Boy angle from the NWA title tournament, and then the Lawler video.
My notes, I wrote that this is a babyface presentation for a heel. When you keep doing these video packages with highlights set to a pop tune, it's like you're telling people this is somebody you should get behind and root for. But the way Lawler is acting in this angle is anything but that.
And I could be wrong, but I doubt Cornette put this music video together. I'll bet you my left arm this came right off in 87 or 88 because they showed him beating Kurt Hennig in 88 Memphis TV show.
Yeah, it's possible Lawler sent in the video himself and said, "Here, play this on the show."
It's possible. But anyway, after that, White Boy is now with JR to plug his 2 matches coming up in 7 days.
You know, as you talked about last week, Jerry the King Lawler is a legitimate superstar in the sport of wrestling. We all know that. You're going to have your hands full with him, as you well know. But now, Nature Boy Buddy Landell is going to be sitting at ringside at that match as the official timekeeper. I smell something a little fishy here.
I smell a lot of things fishy. Can the guy even keep time? I don't know. I don't like this one bit, Buddy Landell being a timekeeper. But you know, Jerry Lawler, this week it's coming down. You've got to walk the aisle in K-Town, brother. Now, you know, if you want a TV series, you go up to the WWF. If you want to fight, you come to Smoky Mountain Wrestling and go against the heavyweight champion, the Dirty White Boy. So, Lawler, I hope you're showing up for a fight. And Nature Boy Buddy Landell is the timekeeper. Landell, if you stick your nose in my business during that championship match, we'll start the non-sanctioned match right then. If I got to run you all over that Coliseum, hold you down, choke you till your eyeballs pop out, and then cram them down your throat, that's what I'm going to do. I'm coming prepared for K-Town.
What a night.
So we've mentioned that this is the go-home show for Super Saturday Night Fever. Do you think they should have announced Buddy as the timekeeper sooner than this?
If they were planning it all along, it feels like that would have been something you should sell. If they feel that Buddy Landell is a big enough name that his involvement in this angle, even before the match that's supposed to be non-sanctioned, as Dirty White Boy said. I love that too, that he didn't say unsanctioned, he said non-sanctioned. Like they could have been going a little harder and heavier on this angle instead of waiting until the last minute. And did you notice, and I'm sure you did, that Dirty White Boy was serving 3 or 4 different masters in this one interview? Like, first, he has to answer a serious question from Jim Ross. Then he has to make fun of Buddy Landell. Can he even keep time, implying he's an idiot? Third, he has to compare Smoky Mountain to WWF and put over Smoky Mountain as the superior product, comparatively speaking. And then finally, he has to actually talk about the potential for Landell to get in the fight with him early instead of waiting for their actual non-sanctioned match. So he was juggling a lot of things in this one interview.
He was, and I like that. Like, he didn't bury the WWF. Like, it would have been so easy for him to word it in a way that really buried the WWF. But like the way he did, it's like, okay, you can be in the WWF and be on a TV show and be in a TV series, or you can come here and fight. And is Lawler ready for a fight next Saturday?
I guess we're gonna find out. You know, that is something I meant to ask you about, because we have a tradition with you and I and Hagen doing the ECW podcast where every now and then we'll just watch the actual pay-per-view they're promoting. Are you and I going to watch Super Saturday Night Fever, or does tape of that even exist for that matter?
I was going to say no for 2 reasons. One, I don't think a commercial tape of that show ever came out. But second, I'm pretty sure the show in 2 weeks is going to be like, if not exclusively Super Saturday Night Fever stuff, then like 60 to 70% Super Saturday Night Fever. So we're going to see what's important on that show then.
So it'll be like CyberSlam, where they're just going to basically use the parts of it they can use in the way they see fit.
Exactly. You know? It's not going to be like that time we did the entire Night of the Legends show, all 4 hours of it. Wait until August. If you're still here for the Super Bowl of Wrestling, they literally spend like 6 weeks of the show just replaying stuff from the Super Bowl of Wrestling. So you'll be sick of that show by the time we get to the middle of September, which ironically is right about the time Smoky Mountain falls directly off the cliff.
Well, you know what? I told you in our pre-show chat that I watched this instead of Raw this week, so I think they'd be hard-pressed to make me sick with Smoky Mountain Wrestling, because I'm really enjoying myself right now.
Oh, yeah, you came in too late, I guess. We may need to do the I've joked with Trey that we need to do the Smoky Mountain Re-Watch-Along Project for the 50 or so episodes he missed. We may need now to do it for the 150 episodes you missed.
Fair enough. And shout out to Trey, by the way. I'm the poor man's Trey. I'm no replacement for Trey.
Well, speaking of poor replacements, Cactus Jack is, as we've mentioned, he is out of the territory, but he has taped plenty of skits to air here. And let's go to his most recent skit with Boo Bradley, who is his poor replacement.
Boo! Boo? I know he's out here somewhere. I heard the cows calling his name. Boo! Come on, let's take a look. Boo! Come on, Boo, I've got something for you. There he is. There he is. Boo! Boo! Come on over here.
See the cows?
I see the cows.
Cookies.
He loves it out here.
Yeah.
Boo,
What?
there's something I need to give you. Something that you need to have with you when you step into Super Saturday Night Fever. Something necessary to destroy the specter of Chris Candido to once and for all walk out from underneath the shadow. And I'm not talking about a physical edge, because you've got that. I'm talking about a mental edge. I'm talking about a gift I have for you. Take a look at it, Boo. Those are my tights.
Yeah.
The same tights I was wearing the night my teeth got knocked down my throat. The same tight I wore in Munich, Germany the night my ear was torn off. They've been with me through it all. And I think at Super Saturday Night Fever, they will give you the same luck they brought to me.
Cactus, you know, this is really, really nice of you, because I like you, I always have, you know, and I think that now that the people like me, and now that you're behind me, and that Boots' spirit is behind me, I think that at that Saturday Fever Night special thing, that Chris, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. It's going to be the longest night of your life. Oh, Wolfies. Wolf and Guffins. Wolf and Guffins live. They know Chris get beat up.
You know, Boo Bradley, I'm sick of all this garbage about what I did to your cat. You're crying and whining, and I was gone ahead and gotten my manager, Tammy Fitch. It's got her suspended from Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And now you want to get your hands on me, Boo Bradley? You want to complain about the way I treated you, you big fat moron? You want to complain about the way I squished that cute little cat of yours? Well, I'm happy about squishing your cat. And Boo Bradley, see this right here? This is dog food. This is just what you deserve to eat because you're nothing but a dog. You're an idiot. You're a moron. You're a big fat goof, Boo Bradley. Everything and every place you've ever been, you've been there because of me. So, Boo Bradley, I'm going to take a newspaper and roll it up and beat you with it. I'm going to rub your nose in it, and I'm going to feed you dog food.
I don't even know what to say about this. It's like, it wasn't bad, but it's like, it's so hokey. And like, Cactus Jack, sorry, was not saving this. Candido was not saving this. It's honestly, in my opinion, quite ridiculous. Like, it didn't help that like Cactus is giving him these tights saying, hey, these are the tights I wore when I lost my teeth and I lost my ear, and I hope it brings you the same amount of luck, boo.
Yeah,
And
that's a cursed item. I wouldn't want to wear that if I was Boo Bradley.
yeah. And then it's like it segues into the Candido promo where he said Boo should be eating dog food.
Yeah,
And
well, the
it's
only
like,
good takeaway I want to give from this is that they actually brought up Boots, because last week I was complaining they did a heavy angle with his cat being killed and nobody brought it up. And this week both Mick Foley and Boo Bradley brought up Boots. So I was like, thank God somebody remembered to talk about this.
thankfully they mentioned that the cat was killed, so we could get that on TV here. See,
Well, I mean, if you're
I
gonna
was,
do something that dark, you may as well
yeah.
use it.
I was thinking last week that it's like it's possible that they realized they went a little too far and were backing off on it as much as they could. And then this week, no, they were jumping in with both oars this week.
Yeah, but as heavy as that angle is, it doesn't overcome the silliness of Mick Foley wandering around mooing like a cow, except he's going boo instead of moo.
Yes. To me, it's like the wackiest part about all this, about this entire angle. And the thing that makes it even wackier is that Jim Cornette is booking it. Is that the very next match is, of course, Chris Candido and Boo Bradley. And for the first time on this show, they've mentioned it before, but they introduced Candido as the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and he had the belts.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's that's the part that like makes my head explode, because I'm like, he is the NWA World Champion, and that is the belt that Jim Cornette is gonna kneel and bow over, because it's the belt of tradition. It goes back to 1905 with Frank Gotch and George Hackenschmidt, even though it doesn't. But
Right.
but it's like,
Or as Shane Douglas once said, I'm the fat man himself, Dusty Rhodes. It's that belt, it's that historical legacy.
And the champion is in an angle over killing a cat and wanting to pour dog food onto his opponent.
Well, not just pour dog food on him, force him to consume said dog food.
Yes. It's like I know Ric Flair did some crazy ass things. He didn't do that. I would
No.
like to meet the promoter that tried to tell Lou Thez that he wanted him to do this.
I think that promoter would have found his knuckles and his wrists and his arms broken in rapid succession.
We may have to unpretzel that promoter still to this day. So, so sure enough, we go to the next match. It is NWA World Heavyweight Champion Chris Candido versus Boo Bradley. Boo is wearing Cactus's tights under his underwear that he normally wears. And at first I thought, oh, it's because, they're both big guys, but they're not really shaped the same. So maybe he's like wearing his underwear tights he normally wears to kind of like, so you don't notice that they're not really staying up well. But then when his underwear is falling down, you can see those tights are remarkably well sized. They are staying up on him no problem. He really should
Right.
get rid of the underwear.
Well,
But
the whole point of the underwear on the outside was this guy is not completely right in the head, so he puts his clothes on backwards.
now I understand this ends up being more of an angle than a match. But I'm like, wait a second. We're having Chris Candido versus Boo Bradley here on free TV to build to next week's show where Chris Candido is going to wrestle Boo Bradley.
Right. There's a lot of
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense. But what does make sense is that Candido gets a proper ring introduction, and when it gets time for Boo Bradley to be introduced, he's like, "To hell with that." And he just runs down to the ring and goes after Candido immediately. So like for all the silliness we got in the last segment, at least Boo Bradley, the wrestler portraying him, had the good sense to go, "No, this has to have a hot start because this is serious and I'm mad."
I honestly thought when he came out, I thought it was silly because he ran out and crawled under the rope to get to the ringside area. And then when the gangsters came out later, I'm like, oh, they just don't have a gap in the rope for people to walk out. They have to pull up the rope. So okay, I let that one
Mhm.
go.
A
Now
lot of
during
pulling
this,
on ropes during this episode, as a matter of fact.
I know, right? During
Mhm.
this match, an old lady wandered out. Why? How does this always happen in wrestling, where old ladies just happen to wander into ringside? But an old lady wanders out and sprays hairspray in Boo's eyes, and the NWA World Heavyweight Champion won with a running crossbody. Suddenly, Mark Curtis, you know, I don't know who taught this man to be a gentleman. Mark Curtis goes over and pulls off the old lady's hair. And oh my God, it's Tammy Fitch. They gasp. Now,
The most least obvious reveal ever. Like the only thing that was different from what I thought it was going to be is I thought she would have a brick in her purse and she'd hit Boo Bradley with her purse.
can you imagine though, like, and again, we're supposed to pretend this is real. If this were real, why would Mark Curtis go over and pull the old lady's hair? You know?
Be- because he
Because
was
like
suspicious that Candido's manager slash valet slash friend was the woman who interfered in the match, so he wanted to prove it for himself.
so anyway, because Tammy is still suspended from this territory and cannot show up, since she showed up, there was a disqualification, a reverse decision, and Boo Bradley is your winner over the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, which is one of those things I'm going to keep saying for as long as this feud lasts, which is another 5 weeks. And so Boo wins by disqualification. After the match, Candido attacked him and poured dog food down his throat, which not only did Boo then hulk up when that happened, but it seemed like Boo had a taste for the delectable canine treat.
My interpretation was, okay, this is not only backfiring, it's backfiring to the degree that it's unleashed the dog in Boo. Like now he's got a taste for revenge and he's just feeding on his canine instincts and he wants to take a bite out of Candido as soon as he can.
Yeah. And, I don't wish anyone unwell. Wish everyone luck. And, Candido and Sonny are about to go off to the WWF. And it's like, well, looking at this show, how many people are not going to be here very soon? And the people who are left behind, it's like Boo is here till the end. And say you want about Balls Mahoney, this is not Balls Mahoney. This is Boo Bradley. Same
Yeah, this is
person, but a very different person.
Yeah, this is not the chair swinging freak we knew and loved in his ECW heyday. This is literally a completely different person.
Yes. And the sad thing is, he is not the worst person who's going to be brought into this territory. There is somebody coming very soon who's going to be here till the bitter end that is so much worse than Boo. And
I don't even think of Boo
think,
as bad. I just think the character is a little absurd, but not in a negative way.
The problem is, I think it has a shelf life, and I don't feel like the shelf life has another 10 months in it.
So would
And
you
who
say
knows
it's
how
like Eugene when they had Nick Dinsmore playing Eugene, that you can only
Yes.
take that so far before it's run its course?
Yes. And we don't have Triple H here to bury Boo Bradley.
Fair point.
Yeah. All right. So up next was scheduled to be confrontation with the Gangstas and Bullet Bob Armstrong. And for half a second, I celebrated because for once we're going to get a confrontation without Jim Cornette. And technically we do. But before we get to that, we're going to have a Jim Cornette promo, and this one's quite lengthy, so take a deep seat here, but in my opinion, it's worth every second.
Before you hit the drop board, can we just say that the following comments are Jim Cornette's own and not those of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, because they told us that.
Yes. And because it's funny, because like that's what they used to say about New Jack, and New Jack hasn't done any super racial promos since for the past couple months. And Jim Cornette is going to do his best New Jack impression, just in the opposite direction.
Indeed, he will. Let's hear it.
Let's go to it right now.
Welcome back, everybody. This week's confrontation will feature the Commissioner of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Bullet Bob Armstrong, and the Gangstas. But I'd like to take you now to some comments made earlier by Jim Cornette and the Heavenly Bodies. I want to warn you, the comments of Jim Cornette are of his own and not of Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
You know, it's been a few weeks since Christmas night. Of course, I still remember because I got a memory like an elephant, believe me. I remember what you did, Gangstas, and now that the original gangbusters are standing here with me, and now that Super Saturday Night Fever, the match with the Heavenly Bodies and the Gangstas, has been approved by Bob Armstrong, now there's some scores that's going to be settled. You know, New Jack, he seems to be the mouthpiece for this organization. He's fond of going around and causing controversy. They've been causing controversy since day one. Since they've entered the wrestling profession, they've been causing controversy, making all kind of outrageous statements. And New Jack's favorite thing to say, he likes to say, 400 years ago, white folks went to Africa, got ships, kidnapped my ancestors, chained them in the bowels of a slave ship. Well, hey, New Jack, I got a news bulletin for you. This ain't 400 years ago. Ain't nobody chained in no ships. So what you might as well do is get over it and move on. But you see, you don't want to get over it because that's your style, because you're making $1 off of it. You don't care about relations with your people like you say you do. No, you just want to make $1. You want to make a name. You want to make a reputation. You want people to listen to you. I got another news bulletin for you. Some white people don't like black people. That's a bulletin right there. Surprises everybody out there, I'm sure. See, it's always been that way, and it's always going to be that way in some cases, regardless of what anybody tries to do about it. But New Jack, you don't try to help it. You just try to perpetuate that situation because you're a big, fat loudmouth. And people don't like you, not because you're black. You could be green, purple, or polka dotted. People don't like you because you're a jerk. Now, what is an average white guy sitting on his couch? When he turns on the 6 o'clock news, what does he see? He doesn't see 9 out of 10 black men that have a job, work from 9 to 5, pay their taxes, have a family. He doesn't see the 9 out of 10 black kids that go to school and play sports and get good grades and don't take drugs. No, you know what he sees? He sees the misfits, the criminals, and the loudmouths like you, New Jack. He turns on the TV and he sees kids running around in street gangs, shooting people, taking drugs. He sees sports heroes being indicted for murder. He sees those rappers that those kids look up to making millions of dollars being arrested for rape and robbery. He sees Al Sharpton walking down the street in New York City, 10 pounds of lard in his hair, a hubcap on a gold chain around his neck, walking his fat, lazy butt down the street with somebody else that he suckered into his line of bull paying his salary, saying, they discriminate against me because I'm black. He better hope they are, because if they ain't, he's out of a job. You see, New Jack, that's the kind of perpetuation that you are perpetuating all over the place.
You're not talking about perpetuating bad feelings. You're talking about perpetuating you making some money. It comes down to this right here. That's all you care about. You don't care about your people. You don't care about nobody but yourself. But I'm going to guarantee you this. You're going to care about something on January 28th in the Knoxville Civic Coliseum at Super Saturday Night Fever. Because you've made a big deal out of talking about how the gangsters have the posse and how they can't be stopped in a street fight and they'll do anything. Well, you take a look at the laundry list of the things the heavenly bodies have done in the past. Thrown Drano in people's eyes. Put people out with ether. Chairs. Done everything. Dumped them in parking lots. Done everything but run over people with cars. So, hey, did that, as a matter of fact? Yeah, I didn't hear about it. So, you see, being dirty ain't nothing new to the heavenly bodies. But, New Jack, I'm looking you square in the eye, punk. And I'm going to feel your little bald head in on something. You and that Mustafa and that D-Lo Brown and your posse and all the rest of them. Bring 14 of them down here. It makes no difference. 20's fine, too. Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to get in that ring January 28th in Knoxville. And you're going to remember every time you brought that nightstick down across my knee. And you're going to remember what it felt like for me when you hit me overhead with that slapjack and that blood ran down my face. And you're going to remember what it felt like to hear the screams of all those people as you were leaving that arena. Why'd you do that to the Rock and Roll Express? Why'd you do that to Jim Cornette? Yeah, for once somebody was on my side. And January 28th, I got somebody on my side again. Gangsters, you're going to curse yourselves for the day that you crossed Jim Cornette. You're going to curse your mother for the day that she gave birth to you. Because we're going to do something about relations. The relationship between the heavenly bodies, the original gangbusters, and Jim Cornette, and the gangsters at Super Saturday Night Fever. We're going to turn that Coliseum up and down and spin it around like a top. And I can promise you this, whether you love us, or you hate us, or you want to run us a foot race, makes no difference to us. Because we're just coming to do one thing. And that's get even with somebody that Jim Cornette hates. Because when I hate with a passion, and I hate forever. And gangsters, you're going to find out what it's like to step in the lion's den. January 28th in Knoxville. It's going to be the damnedest fight anybody's ever seen in their life.
Last dance, boys.
Okay. I think we can end the show now.
That was a closing segment if ever there's been one. Like, how do you follow Jim Cornette saying all of that?
I gotta say, not that it was funny, but it's like Cornette's opening lines are basically, he wants New Jack to get over racism. That's quite the line, even in 2026. And like we say with a lot of stuff that happens on this show, you got to remember the audience that this is. This is not, a welcoming, racially sensitive 2026 pro wrestling show. This is 1995 in the Deep South.
Well, for whatever it's worth, he did try to make it more palatable with some of what he said after that, where he was pointing out that 9 out of 10 Black men and women who go to job every day aren't the ones you see on the news, and 9 out of 10 Black kids who go to school every day, get good grades, and play sports aren't the ones who are causing trouble. He was basically saying, New Jack, you're just out here perpetuating stereotypes, and he loved the word perpetuate. He perpetuated a lot.
This was the perpetuating drinking game. Every time he says the B word, take a drink. You might need a new kidney by the end of the show. But yeah,
you might need a new kidney by the end of this segment, let alone the show.
He did try to turn it around. Of course, he got the little joke in about how he doesn't like big loudmouth jerks because, it's Jim Cornette,
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to say anything here, but Jim might be a big loudmouth jerk. I don't know if you heard that or not, but yeah.
What I really enjoyed about this, as much as Jim Cornette just being absolutely over the top and outrageous as he could ever be, was the heavenly bodies were almost an afterthought, except for every now and then they'd make a little side comment and you would hear it during Jim Cornette's interview. Like, he'd say, they done everything except run over people in the car. And then all of a sudden you hear, no, we did that. Oh, you did? I didn't hear about it. Like, just those little asides made it even better.
Yep. Jimmy Del Rey, our gigolo, our favorite scumbag. I don't want to say it's sad that he never really amounted to much. Because, I don't know if he ever really could have done more than he did. But, he was a great scumbag. In the best of ways. Like in the absolute best of pro wrestling ways, Jimmy Del Rey was an amazing scumbag.
Right. And that's what this angle called for. It's like Jim Cornette was bringing out the big guns. Like, you want to bring your scumbags? I got two bigger scumbags than your scumbags. So there.
I did get sad for a second because he's like, people don't like you, New Jack, because you're black. They don't like you because you're a jerk. I'm like, well, I guess he can't like say anything meaner than jerk. It's 1985 television. Oh well, we'll get to that in a minute. It was a heavy promo, and there was a story going around this time that like there was because this was taped at a WWF TV taping. In case it wasn't obvious when listening to it, it was taped at a WWF TV taping backstage in one of the live event promo rooms, and apparently there were a lot of people like who were watching this that were shocked by how heavy of a promo this was and how heavy of an angle Cornette was talking about. Because like this is cartoon WWF. They don't do heavy angles or really heavy promos.
Right. And that closing line sounded like he was talking about Vince Russo. When I hate with a passion, and I hate forever. Like, tell us something we didn't know about Vinny Roo, bro.
Which is funny because it's before. I guess Russo was writing for the magazine, but I can't tell you that they knew each other at this point. But,
right. It predates it, but it fits it like a glove.
I will say this. I thought it was a neat little point at this point that this happened at a WWF TV taping, not in the arena, because we saw last week when Jim Cornette starts running his mouth, out come the Gangsters to shut it. So I'm like, hey, I know obviously these are all taped in magnificently weird order, but Cornette's not at the arena this week, so Cornette has to tape this somewhere else where the Gangsters can't interrupt him running his mouth.
Mm-hmm. It's
That's
that little
not
injection
entirely how it plays out.
Right,
Well,
but it's that little injection of logic. Like when you don't understand why a wrestler is being followed around by a camera, and then he turns and says, I paid this camera guy to be here to document this. And you're like, oh, okay. Like they didn't have to say that because we would have suspended disbelief anyway. But like you said, the fact that Cornette was wise enough to cut this promo somewhere far away from the Gangsters just adds to the story.
yep. And hey, a couple months ago, they did an angle where the Gangsters were at a bar and enjoying a post-match beverage, and the Rock and Roll Express showed up and kicked their ass. The Rock and Roll Express were not followed by a 3-person camera crew with professional lighting and a sound guy. What they showed was the security camera footage. Nice and gritty and real. Because if this is real, the Rock and Roll Express aren't showing up with a 3-camera shoot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like sometimes you make it more believable by making it less realistic.
Yes. Like that, like the angle that I can never stop shutting up about from the early days of Smoky Mountain, when they were cutting local promos, and the Heavenly Bodies and Fantastics suddenly started fighting all the way up a hallway and out the door. There was one camera guy because, hey, they were shooting local promos, and these 4 guys just happened to start fighting up the halls and out the door. And it was perfectly believable as to why that would be happening.
Do you remember when the running joke during the black and gold era of NXT was that the most dangerous place at the Performance Center was the parking lot?
I'm still waiting to find out what the hell happened to Hideo Itami.
We may never know, but sometimes that's just the way this shit has got to be. Like, give yourself a fight where people can believe it's real because it spills all over the building and outdoors.
Yep. All right. So after that, we did not go straight to confrontation. Instead, we got a replay of last week's confrontation with the Gangsters and Jim Cornette and Bullet Bob making the save. And that leads into this week's confrontation with, say the Gangsters, but it's New Jack, as it always is, and Bullet Bob Armstrong. I think if we go back, by the time the Gangsters leave, if we go back and count the number of words Mustafa said, we might be able to use all 10 fingers on our hands to count. Maybe.
I think Jimmy Del Rey said more during Jim Cornette's promo than Mustafa Ali has ever said.
Mustafa Saeed. Mustafa Ali is the TNA International
Oh,
Champion.
sorry, Freudian
Yes.
slip there. Sorry.
Yes. All right, let's go to JR with Bullet Bob and New Jack.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you see what happened here last week. And now, what is the purpose of your confrontation this week?
I got one question. It really concerns me that why all of a sudden you and Cornette, who've been trying to kill each other since they first opened the doors at Smoky Mountain, why all of a sudden you trying to do him favors? You understand? Because see, this ain't going right. First it was Cornette and Robert and Ricky, you know what I mean? And now all of a sudden you and Cornette out here patting each other on the back and doing each other favors. So you tell me what's up, partner, because I need to know.
I ain't never looked like Jim Cornette. There ain't no secret about it. But there ain't a prejudicial bone in my body either.
Oh, you just as prejudiced as Cornette is, you understand? Every time you get one of us that's doing something, y'all always try to outdo it, you understand? And no, every time white folks start doing...
Let me tell you something right now. Anybody talking about favors? You want to talk about favors? I've been doing you the favors. You fought on the walls, in the halls, under the ring, out of the ring, in the streets. I haven't found you yet, have I? I've been trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. I don't like you. I don't not like you because you're black. The reason I don't like you is because you're a perfect... Ain't nobody getting prejudicial treatment around here in Smoky Mountain as long as I'm commissioner. You got that?
Let me tell you something. I'm going to show you how bad I can be. Whichever son it is you got, whether it's Sleepy, Dopey, Grumpy, Goofy, Steve, Brad, Brian, I don't care which one, you put him in there and I'll show you how bad I can be. You understand? I'll show you.
You know, I was an Armstrong long before I was commissioner. We had an old family saying. We keep it short and sweet. It's just, I've got 3 words, Jim, like, kiss my grits.
What?
All right, well, it's going to be...
Does you good, don't it?
I'm not involved in your business, pal. New Jack and Steve Armstrong, they're next. Don't you go away. This is going to be something. We'll be right back.
Not Bullet Bob's best promo. He tripped over his words a couple times there, but he said everything that Jim Cornette did not say.
Yeah,
People
did.
don't like New Jack. Yeah. They don't like New Jack because he's black. They don't like him because he's an asshole. Something tells me that Jim Cornette did not ask Bullet Bob to retape that one. I'm gonna bet.
No. And I do like the subtle little touches in Smoky Mountain, like New Jack getting hot at Jim Ross, and he's like, I'm not involved in your business, sir. Leave me out of it.
Yep. And I mean, JR learned from Bill Watts, and say what you want about Bill Watts, good, bad, or otherwise. He made sure his announcers, like, you're not wrestling the announcers next week. So your angle is not with Jim Ross. Your angle is with Bob Armstrong and Jim Cornette. So it's like, you know, and I always like that. I'm loving, as much as I know how this ends, and I don't like how this whole thing ends with this babyface Jim Cornette run. I like how this is going because I like that, like the heel is absolutely right for a lot of this. Like, what the hell are Bob Armstrong and Jim Cornette suddenly doing favors for each other now? They've been hating each other and trying to kill each other for 3 years, and now they're doing each other favors. Now that they're feuding with the black guy. You know? And
that's what makes this angle good, is everybody is making believable points. Neither one of them is just pulling shit out of their ass that makes no sense.
And it's funny because they keep making a point that, like, it's not that New Jack is black. It's because he's an asshole who just happens to be black. You know? And the funny thing is, it's like, we debated 6 months ago when the Gangsters came in whether or not you could have brought them in as baby faces. And I would argue that they could have been able to do that. I actually wonder if there is a way, if the Gangsters would have been able to stay, and they weren't going to be able to stay, but if they were, if there was a way to eventually turn them face. And I think, you know, especially because wrestling crowds in general, but Southern crowds always have the, you know, the stigma of being easily manipulated, and that I think it could be easy to turn these two hated asshole heels into two giant baby faces by turning it around and like getting the crowd behind them, because yeah, we were discriminated against. It's like, yeah, that, but now we're coming and taking what's ours now, and we're all gonna do it together.
Mhm. Well, what did I say about Steve Austin the last time? The way they made him a face was to make him face bigger assholes than him, so he could still be an asshole, but he was doing it to people who deserved it. That's how you would turn the gangsta's face.
Now, the reason why I mentioned that the gangsters could have come in as baby faces at first is because when they debuted, there was no like there was no skits leading up to their debut. Well, New Jack running his mouth. There wasn't a month of New Jack promos beforehand telling you who he was and what he was coming in to do. It was 1 week on TV. All of a sudden, these two big black guys came out to really cool hip hop music, and they looked like menacing badasses. And there was a smattering of youthful applause and cheer. So
Hmm.
the younger people, the kids and the young adults, not knowing any better, they were kind of into them until New Jack opened his mouth, you know? So it's like I kind of wonder, could they have been baby faces? Like it, you can argue whether or not the gangsters were successful at all, but like I doubt they would have been as successful in this territory as baby faces, but I think they could have been. It would have
It
been
just
different at least.
it just reminds me of the Dark Side of the Ring when New Jack said that he and Tracy Smothers had a deal that the more he talked shit, the more of those Confederate flags Tracy would sell. So he got a cut of the merchandise from it. Like New Jack is just too good at riling people up. And this audience, it's like you said, I don't know if it's because it's wrestling as opposed to pro wrestling, but he knew how to push their buttons. So could he have been a face? Could they have been a face? I don't think he wanted that. I think he wanted to be what he is.
Yeah. Hey, there's a reason that when they came in, Jim Cornette said, "I want you to go out there and piss white people off," and he did a very good job of that.
He picked the right man for the job. Jerome Young is really good at making people mad.
Yes. And speaking of Jerome Young, he was out for our next match, as it was New Jack with Mustafa and D'Lo Brown versus Steve Armstrong. Now, before the match began, Jim Cornette came out with an injunction saying that since this is a singles match, that neither Mustafa nor D'Lo can be at ringside. And the Gangsters flipped out, and the match never started as all three attacked Steve Armstrong. Jim Cornette showed that he did not learn his lesson from Christmas Chaos, as he got in the ring and whacked Mustafa and D'Lo with the tennis racket, but they got it from him and laid a whooping on both him and Steve before Bullet Bob made the save.
Yeah, ran out with his bat, and the gangsters fled because it was now a fair fight instead of 3-on-2. But I also want to mention that I was asking you how many of the sons of the Armstrong family are we going to see last week, and this week I got my wish.
Um, we're, I know, like I said, we've already had Brian, we've already had Scott. I don't know if Scott comes back before the company goes under, and Brad is going to come in to feud over the Smoky Mountain title in a few months. So we're going to get all four Armstrong brothers over the 4 years. Just not at no point were all four in at the same time.
Yeah, that's a shame, but also not surprising given they were kind of on to bigger and better things, as you've alluded to earlier with other people leaving.
Yeah. So this week's fan poll question: has Jim Cornette changed his ways? And as JR reminded you, your vote counts. So if you go and dial 1-900-73-SMOKY and spend 99 cents per minute, you can voice your opinion on whether Jim Cornette changed his ways. Now, we talked about the conversion rate last week. I believe it was almost $3 in 2026 money. Stevie, would you spend $3 per minute to call and express your opinion of whether or not Jim Cornette has changed his ways?
Absolutely not, but not for the reason of the cost of the phone call. The reason I'm going to say absolutely not is because the internet already existed and news groups already existed and bulletin boards already existed. So if I wanted to voice my opinion about whether or not Jim Cornette had changed his ways, I could do it for free on a wrestling forum anywhere online.
Yeah, but if you're still waiting for your 10 free minutes of AOL disc to come in the mail, or 10 or was it 10 free minutes, it's 10 free hours of AOL disc. Yeah,
Hmm.
if you're still waiting for your 10 free hours of AOL and don't have access to the internet right now, um, you know, you may be thinking, hey, I want Jim Ross to know my opinion about Jim Cornette.
Well, you could have also called into any number of local radio programs that covered professional wrestling because there was still just enough of the territorial feel left in the 90s, especially in this geographical region, that I'm sure you could have found a local radio show where the hosts talk about pro wrestling.
Oh, and it's one of Jim Cornette's big things, and he was doing it when he was in charge of Ring of Honor in the early tens, where it's like get the radio DJs, and I guarantee that he had a network of radio DJs plugging the shows, you know, for different Smoky Mountain events.
I would suspect so
Uh,
as well. Probably even having contests like be the 10th caller and get tickets to Saturday Night Fever.
yeah. Um, So from here, we have a main event to go, and it's the Rock and Roll Express versus Eddie Gilbert and mystery partner. But we don't know who Eddie Gilbert's mystery partner is just yet. Les Thatcher would not wait the extra 2 minutes until the match actually started. So he went backstage to talk to Eddie Gilbert to find out who is his partner. Go to Les right now.
Got the room with me, hot stuff, Eddie Gilbert. Eddie, everyone's asking the same question. Who's going to be your partner?
Everybody's asking the question. The new Congress in the United States right now in Washington, D.C., they're asking the questions. Bill Clinton, Hillary Rodham Clinton, she's asking the question. Hot stuff, Eddie Gilbert, who do you have as your partner? Wait a minute. Wait, can we sit right here? I don't like this spot. Anyway, I have someone in store for the Rock and Roll Express. I have someone in store for Smoky Mountain You talked about me too, didn't you? You talked about... Well, I've got a partner! I've got a partner! You're going to see him soon! You're going to see him soon, Ricky Roberts! You're going to see him!
So I mentioned it last week that, this Eddie Gilbert was, freaking me out last week because I'm watching Mid-South every week, and this is not the Eddie Gilbert on Mid-South Wrestling from 10 years earlier, for better or worse. That's I'm almost used to it now after 1 week. I'm no longer worried, even though I should be, because, he's dead in a month. But I no longer feel that way at this point. And, this is just Eddie Gilbert being a nut job.
Yeah, you get this idea that he was basically told, go as absolutely dog shit crazy as you can for this angle. And Eddie Gilbert was like, do what now? I'm already dog shit crazy. I'll just be myself.
So we've had a series of bizarre coincidences on the Something Else podcasting network. There were so many instances where something happens on Mid-South or World Class, and then something involving the same people or something remarkably similar would happen either in TNA on Wednesday or Smoky Mountain on Thursday. So this week, on Tuesday, and again, if you haven't listened, what the hell are you waiting for? Alyssa and I covered the out-of-nowhere angle where the Nightmare, a.k.a. the Champion, left Eddie Gilbert and is now being managed by Sir Oliver Humperdinck. So on Tuesday, Eddie Gilbert loses a big, muscular, masked associate who basically does all of his dirty work for him. Fast forward 48 hours to Smoky Mountain Wrestling 10 years later, and who does Eddie Gilbert bring out as his partner this week but Unabomb? Now, we gave away who Unabomb was at the beginning, but I want you to picture if Demolition wanted to look more homosexual. That's what I thought when I saw this.
The only thought I had when I saw this was, oh my God, it's Kane.
Now, did you know it was Kane before he took his mask off?
Just the physical appearance, the stature, the body type, I was convinced it was Glenn Jacobs even before he took the mask off.
Okay, 'cause I mean, ultimately, like how many people, even in 1995, are 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", and that well put together.
Right. There weren't enough of those to go around that you couldn't think it was anybody other than Kane if you knew this era of professional wrestling. But I was just more giggling to myself when he took the mask off and confirmed it. I'm like, so he goes from playing the Christmas tree monster to playing Unabomb to playing Dr. Isaac Yank and DDS. Like, how many bad gimmicks did they saddle this guy with before he finally got the one that worked?
And then he was Diesel. Like you just fake Diesel there in the middle there.
That's
Uh,
true. And that actually happened when I was at a WWF house show and they had Kevin Nash and Kane in the ring together and I yelled out and I quote, "The real Diesel and the fake Diesel together at last."
and this would have been what, 2002? So did anybody get the reference?
No, I made that joke entirely for myself and it popped nobody, but I was happy I did it.
I was at an indie show once with a really crappy mafia wrestler, and someone yelled that he was the Timu Tony D'Angelo, and I thought that was kind of funny. And then he said it like
That's
12
funny.
more
I like
times.
that.
Well, then he
Sorry,
said
go
it like,
on.
yeah, he said it 12 more times, and it got a lot less funny really quickly.
Right. Once is enough to pop you 10 times, maybe not.
Yeah. So by the way, Unabomb did take off his BDSM harness and gimp mask before he began wrestling.
Mhm.
That's all I can think of is the BDSM harness. Like, is Eddie Gilbert stringing him up backstage for the matches?
Well, again, given we know Eddie Gilbert has a lot of problems, I don't know what he was into, but that wouldn't shock me at all.
Now, the funny thing is, we mentioned this is a bad gimmick. It's not really a gimmick. It's just a dumb name. It's like he wanted to come up with Jim Cornette wanted to come up with a very violent sounding name, but it's like he's not the Unabomber. That was Ted Kaczynski. He's not the Unabomber. He's just Unabomb, which it's not a great name. And I
No,
guess
it's
like
not.
I guess he didn't want to piss off the TV networks more than they already were with the Gangsters angle by calling it the Unabomber. But it's like, I don't know about this one.
Right. And like you said already, the height and the weight and the build, like would anybody really confuse Kane for Ted Kaczynski? Like if you called him the Unabomber, would people not know the difference? I think they would.
I think it's best sometimes to not piss off your TV networks anytime you can.
Oh, gee,
And
you'd think Paul Heyman would have learned that on TNN, except they weekly called it, the network that has an outhouse trailer instead of working toilets.
oh my God. So we're talking about like what would be a better name? Now everyone remembers because you've probably seen pictures of it that he was the Christmas creature like for a couple shots in Memphis. Well,
Mhm.
he came back to Memphis as Doomsday. I'm sorry, that is a much better name than Unabomb.
Yes, but I'm sure that Marvel or DC or whoever owns that right would definitely have taken exception to it.
Oh, it's Smoky Mountain Wrestling. All these copyrighted musics that they play, they're like these people are not getting paid for, their music being played on this show. This would have flown
True.
well under you know, under the thing there.
And
When he did his
ECW got
WC,
away with it for their entire TV run, which is why all the replays have it edited out now.
yeah. I mean, I imagine this is a lot of the reason why WWE never put the full run of Smoky Mountain up on the network, because like how much time did it have to take to redo all the music? Like they only ever put up like 5 or 6 episodes that were Chris Jericho centric.
Hmm.
Um, And I remember like when we got to those episodes, I tried watching them on Peacock, and it's like they were so heavily edited. I mean, like you can imagine that it's like I can't watch this. It's like trying to watch
Right.
the East Enemy Syndicate. No, it's not the same without all of the wacky ads and whatnot in between.
Right. And the music not being dubbed over to the point where it just sounds stupid.
Yes. As much as I've never been a fan of the New Jack playing the music during the entire match thing, I can't watch a New Jack match with the WWE dubbed theme over it. It's just not
Yeah.
the same.
Like, even if you're sick of natural born killers, it's what you expect to hear, and whatever they put over it is so not that.
So I'm gonna say like the most obvious thing ever. Like Unabomb, like Kane, he's been wrestling for a little over 2 years. He is green as goose shit at this
Hmm.
point. Like he is not wrestling as a monster. He's wrestling as a 6'9" cruiserweight, more or less. Not cruiserweight makes you think he's gonna do a high flying moves. He's wrestling a 6'9" guy who's like 6'1" and 240 pounds. Like, he is bumping like crazy. He is flying over the top rope for the rock and roll. And there's something about respecting your elders, but also that's not his role. He's not here to be bumping like madman for Ricky and Robert. He's here
Right.
to dominate Ricky and Robert.
He's the heavy. He's supposed to be the one that's doing the beating and at the direction of the person who wants him to do the beating.
And it became more obvious at the finish because, shockingly enough, they got the heat on Ricky Morton. Robert gets the hot tag, and he's beating on Eddie. And Unabomb stepped into the ring, but knows he can't get involved because the spot's with Eddie and Robert. So he just awkwardly stands off to the side while they run their spot. And I'm like, your guy's getting beat up. Why aren't you helping? Because that's not his spot yet. It's not his turn. And
Hmm.
then the finish was lame as fucking hell. Robert's running the ropes. Eddie Gilbert had been knocked to the floor. Robert's running the ropes, and Eddie yanks down the top rope, and Robert flies over the top for the disqualification.
Hmm.
And to make it worse,
Yeah.
if you were watching it seconds earlier, Robert was leaning against those ropes to start his run, and Eddie was already pulling down the top rope. And of course, Robert had to no sell it because that's not the spot yet. He has to run the
Right.
ropes first.
There was a lot of things about this main event that were not well shot or executed. I respect all four people involved, but no, this was not well put together.
This, and I imagine at some point they kind of split off for a little bit. But, well, I don't even say this. 3/4 of this are the tag team title feud until August.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Eddie Gilbert's replacement is coming in, ladies and gentlemen, and that'll be the feud. And like they more or less keep feuding until Unabomb gets his dental degree. I actually when
I'm just
I don't know
laughing
if he's
because that should be a WrestleCrap article. Like, Unabomb graduates from dental school, becomes Isaac Jacob. That RD should write that. That would be gold.
I don't know if he still does because I don't listen to the show and I kind of put the don't recommend this channel on YouTube. But when Jim Cornette was answering questions for the drive-through, I sent him a couple times. Um, what were his thoughts that on back-to-back years, two of his monster heels got brought in more or less as comedy gimmicks to do SummerSlam main events? Because 94 had primetime Brian Lee. He comes in as the fake Undertaker to the point where like Brian Lee could not be on Smoky Mountain with dark black hair and a beard, being like, hey, look who's over here, the fake Undertaker, but we're not allowed to mention that. And then in 95, while he's building up Unabomb as this big unstoppable motherfucker over on the WWF, he's Dr. Isaac Yankem DDS.
Yeah, I'm sure Jim felt a certain way about that, but they were paying bigger money, even if they were in their doldrums at the time. So WWF was gonna scoop up whoever they wanted, whenever they wanted.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm sure like Jim was happy for them to get the paydays that they got out of this. It was the kind of like how it was in OVW, where he's got these serious wrestlers like Nick Dinsmore becomes Eugene, Matt Morgan becomes a stutterer, you know, whereas in Smoky Mountain, Unabomb becomes Dr. Isaac Yankem DDS. And I'm like primetime Brian Lee, if you were really stupid, you know, you could kind of not know that primetime Brian Lee was the underfaker, even though it was painfully fucking obvious if you're watching the show. But like Dr. Isaac Yankem DDS and Unabomb's not wearing a mask when he wrestles. You see his face, you see his hair, and you're going to see that face and that hair on WWF television as a dentist.
You
There's no
are
backing out
indeed.
of that one.
No getting around it, no avoiding it, no getting sideways from it, and no getting around the fact that we've gone almost 90 minutes and probably want to wrap it up soon.
Yes. By the way, a quick post-match beatdown on Ricky until Robert made the save, throwing a chair as the show faded to black. And next week, a 16-man Smoky Mountain Rumble for $5,000. 156 down, 44 to go. And before we go, we'd like to tell you what else is happening in the world of wrestling, because, you know, we tell you January 21st, 1995 until I'm blue in the face, but this gives you some context so you know what else is going on here. So the big news this week is, and I'm not going to quite do a Howard Finkel impression, but the referee has informed me that only one of Shawn Michaels' feet hit the floor. What? So yes, the WWF had the 1995 Royal Rumble, where Shawn Michaels became the first person to go coast to coast to win the Rumble, and will now challenge former BFF Diesel for the WWF title at WrestleMania. And the funny thing is, like, Shawn was the first person to ever do that. Benoit was the second. I think most people remember that Edge then did it in 2021. They then did it frequently, to the point where I think like they did like 3 years in a row where someone was number one and went coast to coast. And it's like nobody remembers it anymore because like it's happened so much.
I think one time Rey Mysterio was number 2 and went coast to coast, and I argued that was the same thing because both 1 and 2 are in the ring together at the start. So really, yeah.
It's the exact same thing. And like Rhea Ripley did it the 1 year. Man, it's like I love Rhea Ripley, and I barely remember that. Bailey went from number 3 the year she won it. It's like it is what it is. We like, you know, whatever.
Yeah, there's some mathematical breakdown somewhere out there that like the luckiest numbers are like the first 3 and the last 3, and everybody else in the middle is just fucked.
It used to be number 27. Like they did that number video for years. Number 27 is the luckiest number. Well, now, like, for a little while, I'd have to go back and see what it is now. But, like, for at least a year, the luckiest number was number 1. Because
right.
they'd spanned that so much.
Yes, they did.
So, elsewhere at the Royal Rumble, they had what they were hoping was going to be a huge celebrity angle for WrestleMania, as Bam Bam Bigelow shoved down future NFL Hall of Famer Lawrence Taylor after Bam Bam and Tatanka lost the tag team title tournament finals to the 1-2-3 Kid and Bob Holly. And the problem was, and this shows up at WrestleMania, this was a newsworthy angle in the New York market because LT is a former New York Giant. Pretty much nobody else gave a shit because Lawrence Taylor was not, he was a star, but he wasn't such a big star that like the entire country is going to go excited to watch Lawrence Taylor have a wrestling match.
He was Ryan Garcia showing up on Raw. That's what he was.
Yeah. Like he's no Mike Tyson. He's Lawrence Taylor.
Exactly.
And then there's some Smoky Mountain news that will never get mentioned on the TV show. New Jack was arrested after a show in Morristown, Tennessee, for allegedly hitting a 14-year-old heckling fan, and then when 2 police officers came over, he shoved them down. Yeah. But I, I have spoiler alert for you. New Jack does not go to jail. Yeah, he's kind of
No, no.
all right. Well, I guess that's gonna do it for the show. So we had TNA yesterday. We're at TNA tomorrow with the Impact review. We'll be back next week with the usual slate of shows. Hopefully Trey's back soon, but Stevie is a more than adequate replacement here on this show, and Alyssa was shockingly not that bad on Tuesday. So, hey, maybe we got something here. Who knows?
I hope I can at least be marginally adequate as a replacement for Trey, but if not, I apologize to all of Trey's fans.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. Going through the show. Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.